What's up, guys? What's going on? Welcome to another Final Fantasy XIV video. This time around, I'm going to be talking about what is the possible beast tribes we're going to get in the expansions. So to first, get us started, it's important to remember exactly what typically makes a beast tribe inside Final Fantasy XIV in terms of reputation you can grind and get for that specific beast tribe. Now, in the past, in every single expansion so far, the beast tribes have been as follows. So you always have a bunch of combat beast tribes, and you always have one crafting beast tribe. Now in ARR, the crafting beast tribe was the Exali, and we had a whole plethora of combat beast tribes. In the coming expansions afterwards, Heavensward and Stormblood, it was always two combat beast tribes and one crafting beast tribe. And I'm assuming it's going to be following the same template in the future, which means that in Shadowbringers we should be getting the same kind of stuff. Now, each beast tribes that is a combat beast tribes typically has had a primal that they've been able to summon, and has had a comparable evil version of themselves that has been tempered by said primal, and has been mind controlling them and making them evil. And so typically when you have a beast tribe, you always have like your little hub where your allies beast tribe is, and then you have another area in the same map that has the evil version of the same beast tribe that you get to go in there and fight through the daily beast tribe quests that you have. That has always been the case in every single expansion so far, and it's something I'm going to keep in mind when I give you my prediction or my opinion as to which beast tribe in Shadowbringers we might actually be getting. Now, in Shadowbringers, though, it is a bit different. There is no real there's no primals really. There's been sin eaters, and these are the two like extreme trials we're getting this time around, but they're not technically primals. And so either they're gonna add primals to some beast tribes later throughout the course of the expansion, or they're gonna follow a different path or a different setup for this time for this. So we can't really tell if like a group has been tempered or is evil necessarily, but we can find areas in the world where these possible beast tribes or these possible reputations could be. Now, some of my opinions, predictions and stuff, they're not necessarily like super duper possible accurate and stuff. I don't know if we're gonna get these specifically. This is just my opinion. So don't freak out. It's just my opinion. Now, I would love to hear your opinion below. So if you would like, give me your opinion in the comments down below. But this is what I think we could potentially have. I'm gonna go with like some safe bets. I'm gonna go with some kind of possible but maybe not, and then I'm going to go into some crazy ideas that I think would be super cool and very different, but I don't think they're going to go that way because it's way too much. But I think it might be interesting. So first of all, my safe bets. So my safe bets are for multiple reasons, but mostly my safe bets would be the ones. It's because they announced those during the fan fests, the various fan fests. They actually announced there would be new beast tribes, and they specifically named these. Now, these don't mean that they will necessarily be the beast tribes we're going to be ranking with and having a rep with, but it does kind of hint towards that maybe being the case. So it's entirely possible that these are going to be it, and I'm just reading into this whole thing a little bit too much. But yeah, so these are the safe bets. Safe bets are the dwarves. Now, the dwarves are located in if I can just get the the dwarves are located here in Kaluja, not in Tomura. Tomura is a town filled with dwarves, yes, but I don't think this is the ones we're going to be getting. I think the dwarves we're actually going to get for the beast tribes are not these from this camp, but rather are these located here at the Wet Whistle in Komra. Now, the reason why I think that is because when you reach Comra by foot right now, there's a bunch of NPCs there that are from a different clan of dwarf that are technically supposed to be enemies of the clan of dwarf we've been allied with. However, these NPCs they're not enemies. They're actually named in green, and you can actually, they're there. They're NPCs. So what I'm assuming is they might be a group of dwarves that escaped from that other group of dwarves, which is technically working the Jurgar's tool. So maybe what's going on is we're going to get the dwarves, and the dwarves that we're going to get are going to be located here. They're going to be a separate branch of that big enemy dwarf camp thingy that they have here, and that whole area is going to be it. Now, this beast tribe, possible beast tribe, could fit both. It could be a crafting beast tribe. It could be a combat beast tribe. The reason why I think a crafting beast tribe makes more sense is because they're very crafting oriented, the dwarves. Like they're all miners and stuff like that. So it would make sense that it would be crafting related, maybe. But if they do decide to go combat, it still makes sense technically in the grand scheme of things, because they do have an area in which they can go in quests against other dwarves and kill other dwarves potentially. So that's entirely something you could be doing. But realistically, I think it's more likely that if these are the beast tribe, they're going to be crafting. That's my guess. Now, there's also the chance that one of the beast tribes could be the Numu. Now, the Numu are located inside... Why do I keep opening this? The Numus are located in Amarang, in the... in Ilmeg, in Plaeni, right? So, the Numus fit kind of both, kind of like the dwarves. They fit kind of both ways. They could be crafting related. They do have a bunch of crafting NPCs. In fact, a lot of them are crafting NPCs. They seem to be repairing stuff. They seem to be, there's a culinarian you do a quest for. There's a bunch of stuff you could do. And obviously they could start making the quests here. Now, rarely the beast tribe is located in an area which you've already been and quested at. Usually they're in a separate area that you sort of like set up camp, and then the camp grows around you and stuff. But it happens that it's the same location. I'm thinking about like the dwarves, for example, not the dwarves, the Gnat, for example, in Evansworth, or the in Stormblood, the Kojin, for example, were also inside an area we've been to before that has already an Aetheryte. So it's entirely possible that this is going to be the case. The Numu were also, named specifically at the fan fests. They could be technically both. They could be crafting, like I said. They also could be combat, because they fit the description, as I mentioned before. There is an area in which you can fight evil Numus here in Father Collard's chambers. Because they fit this description, it's a strong hint, especially because they've been named in the fan fest, that these could be the beast tribe we're looking at, and then it would allow you to go here and do that stuff. Now, typically also keep in mind that beast tribes tend to have their own minion that looks exactly like them, and most of the time, except if they're crafting, you should be getting a mount as well that is kind of related with that specific beast tribe. Now, the thing with the Numus, though, is that they don't really have a mount, so I don't necessarily know what kind of mount it could be referring to. I don't know what kind of mount we could be getting. If the Numus end up being one of the beast tribes we get, and also another thing that might be playing against the Numus, it's the idea of getting a minion. There is already a Numu minion in the game, and it's behind the hunt. If you get enough nutsack, you can actually get yourself a Numu minion, which kind of makes it weird then that the Numu might be a beast tribe. Beast tribe typically, like I said, get a representative of the beast tribe itself as a wind-up minion. Now we could possibly get one of their little like porky kind of ghosty companion pet as a pet. That's entirely possible. But yeah, it does play against them a little bit. I still think they're a strong contender because of the fact that they have this combat place I said before, but I'm not entirely sure. We don't have a wind-up dwarf minion in the game yet, so that could totally be something. Although, gotta keep in mind though with the dwarves, as I mentioned before, they're technically not a beast tribe. Technically, they are just Lalafels wearing armors, so they might not actually be a beast tribe at all. They might just not fit into the description. Although, since they do look kind of peculiar and very, very different, it's entirely possible that they are, you know, they are considered to being beastly, or at least like a beast tribe. And also the dwarves don't really have a mount either, but then there is already a mount that's like kind of like the robot frog that they have, and you know, for all we know, a mount could also be like maybe a Talos or something, that it could be like their mount that they can drive around. So there's that. Also, outside of that, outside of these two, the other one that was specifically mentioned was the Pixies. Now the Pixies are in Lida Loran, and the Pixies kind of fit the more the combat side and not really the crafting side. I can't really see them as crafting related, people. Now the Pixies do have their own area here. They do have a ton of places to go. They can fight and stuff, but they don't have an evil pixie area where you can fight other pixies specifically. You will sometimes encounter evil pixies, or at least pixies that are not part of Lida Loran, but usually they're not really there. We also don't really have a pixie pet, so the pixie pet could totally be a thing. As far as mount goes, they don't really have a mount, but then it's not impossible that we get a mount like I don't know, like a giant Mothra, like a giant butterfly, or maybe even wings, like butterfly wings on our back. That'd be really freaking cool. So these are two possibilities, and these are very exciting possibilities if you ask my opinion. I really like the idea of riding a giant butterfly. I think it looks cool, but yeah, it could totally be something else. And they, like I said, they don't really have like an enemy to fight, but then most of the quests could be kind of like the Sylph quests in the ARR Beast Tribe, where it's just like kind of tricks and mini games and stuff instead of being actually fighting stuff. And they could totally be a combat Beast Tribe, like 100%. They have all the areas. They kind of fit with everything except having the evil pixies to fight. And yeah, they're very unique looking. They're very definitely beastly. And it could be kind of cool to have. And they also have a shit ton of space. Like they could totally. Here's what I think is like a strong contender also, is that typically you need to have an area inside the town where it's possible for them to have a counter where you can like sell things. And I'm thinking that maybe this is going to be the place. Maybe this will open up, and this is where you'll have the NPCs that sell stuff, and you'll be able to go and trade and things. So this area here could 100% be the area for the Pixies. The Numus don't really have a location like that, but they could all be like spread out. The dwarves in the specific section had a building kind of like this, so the dwarves are totally on the table. Could totally be one of these. And again, the fairies were the Pixies were also specifically mentioned during the fan fest, so they're entirely possible that we're going to get these as beast tribes. Moving on, though, is other like possibilities that are less likely, but I would very much like to get. So one of them is the Blessed. Now, the Blessed are not really a beast tribe. Technically, they're more like regular NPCs, but they do qualify for certain things that we specifically mention in when we think of a beast tribe that we could possibly get. The Blessed are in Slitherbow, and they do have, we don't have, like, we wouldn't get, like, I don't think a wind-up blessed person, but we could totally get like something else, like an animal maybe that there is in this area, or at the very least like something akin to this. I didn't really think, to be honest, of a monster we could possibly get maybe as a pet for this, but they do have their own areas. They could totally have like an extra space just for trade or something in one of those caves. And what's interesting is they also have an area here, the womb, filled with the opposite of the blessed. The like an evil group of themselves, essentially, that we could go in and go and quest there and kill based off of whatever quest we do get here. Also, the woods are fairly big. Even their own half of the woods is fairly big, and all kinds of critters and monsters here could totally be either a mount or a minion for these. But again, these are much less likely because they're not technically a beast. They're mostly just a tribe. Now, they could do something different with this expansion and try and get us into more like, instead of being beast tribe quest, they could transform it into like just reps, which I would totally prefer almost, because just getting random beasts every time is kind of, it's fine, but like I like having just different reps. In fact, I would be down with having more than just 3 reps per expansion. I like the idea of having different reps to grind and get up and just get different mounts and stuff, but hey, that's just me. So yeah, these are definitely a possibility. They, like I said, they do fit certain criteria, but not all. So they're still very unlikely, but they do, like I said, have this area for fighting, so it's not entirely impossible that we get them as a thing, especially with like daily quests and stuff, and venturing into the woods and just like maybe we could learn more about their religion and the way it works now that the night sky has been returned. There's a bunch of stuff they could do with this. Another one that is entirely possible would be the hold on, let me just like edit my thing here. Would be the Ando. Now, the Ando is one of my favorites in this. They're located in the Ando cups. And I honestly think this would be a fantastic beast tribe to have. Mostly because we didn't quest a whole lot in there. There's a bunch of side quests, obviously, but we didn't quest a ton in the Tempest. And the Tempest is huge. There is so many places to go. So many places. It's ridiculous. There's so many areas to go. There's so many areas to explore and quest in. The map is ginormous, and I totally believe that we could go in there and do something with this map. It would be a shame to just waste this entire map with just like these few side quests and then be done with it. It's such a beautiful area, and yeah, I think it would be cool. Also, these definitely considered to be a beast tribe, like fishmen, fish people. The only problem is that we already have them as a beast tribe in ARR. They're not named the same way, but they're definitely the same thing. The Sahagin, they're named, and so we can't, like, if it would end up making them a beast tribe, they would have to figure out like a whole bunch of different things, and it would be mostly retreading stuff that we've already seen. However, the area being so big, it would be very easy for them to plop on a counter somewhere and start trading, especially since they've been kind of presented to us as being like very much trade inclined in the in the course of the main story of the expansion. So they totally could like have an area that is like filled with daily quests and stuff, and the whole place would be a fantastic place for that to happen. So yeah, so that's only a thing that could be, and I would very much like to see it. Although, like I said, Sahagins, we already have them, so maybe not. I don't know. So these are my two like two maybes. I have another maybe, a very very maybe, that could also consider to be a beast tribe. Obviously, they are the people at Mordsuk. I forgot their name though. They have a different name in this. The Mords, I think. Mords, they're named. And they're located in Amarang in the Mordsuk. They are essentially what we already have. They're not goblins. They're kobolds in ARR, but they do have their own little camp here. They don't really have an enemy faction though, like directly opposed to them. And to be honest, we already have a minion of these. We already have a minion of the Ando as well, like a mini Sahagin. So it would be a mini Ando, but then it's just a reskin. There's not much we can do here, like mount wise. I don't even know what we could possibly get as a mount. And the area for questing with them would be super small, except if they start like making us quest here. If they keep in the area that usually the Mord tends to be in, it would be super freaking small. So then it becomes, much less possible that this fits. But they are a beast tribe technically, and they are very, very trade inclined. So it's not entirely impossible that it would get into combat as a combat beast tribe. So yeah, so these are my maybes, and now I'm gonna go into like very unlikely but kind of cool if we get them. The first one I'm gonna talk about is another one in Amarang in Twine. They could be the miners. Now the miners could totally fit both. They could be a crafting group. They could be a regular group. Again, these could totally have either a Talos as a mount, or even better, imagine if we get a tiny, like a wind-up Talos as a minion, and then we get a mount, a trolley. Now a trolley as a mount would be fantastic. It would be hilarious. I would love it. I would use it. Like it would be so cool. And again, they're very trade inclined. It's not impossible that one of those buildings that's boarded up could totally end up being a location in which you can go and start like trading and get your beast tribes and stuff quests going. And then the area itself to quest is fairly huge. You have all this location up top, you have all the way down there, and then you have all the way here, and even in there in the Batarang. So there's tons of different areas you could possibly go that the miners have technically been and have been exploring and stuff. So it's not impossible that this would be like one of the beast tribe. However, again, they're not technically a beast, so it's very unlikely if we follow the logic that's been established before. But they do have, like I said, they do have a possible minion. They do have a possible mount, which would be hilarious. And then they fit some of the criteria, but they don't have like a direct enemy either. Like they don't have a evil group of miners. They do have, however, a bunch of monsters and different mines that we could go into and try to mine from and do some stuff with. And they could also, like I said, totally end up being a crafter as well, because obviously, miners and stuff. There could be a crafting camp for sure. Also, another one that's very unlikely, but I think would be kind of cool, is the V's. Now, the V's are look at it in the fan out. They are the Viera of the first. They are very much a combat, I would say, beast tribe potential. Technically, they're not beasts, but they do have these entire location to quest from. Here and there, not necessarily having specifically a kind of like an enemy V's group, but we could totally get a bunch of other stuff. We could get we could totally get like a quest here in the like puzzle quests again in the temples. We could get like hunting quests. Like there's a bunch of areas we could go to and quest more. I would love, in fact, if it were the case, because that would totally like keep me in this zone, and I freaking love this zone. So I would be down with it 100%. As for minions and mount, minions. Kind of hard to guess. We already have a wind-up Fran. We could totally get like a wind-up like V's, which would be like maybe a hunter, maybe wearing the same kind of garb that these guys are wearing, instead of Fran, which is wearing the Viera kind of starter gear. And then as far as mount go, they've been seen using Griffin, although the Griffin was already a mount you could get with the Evansward Collector Edition. So I'm assuming at this point the more likely proposition would be maybe a Caracal. The Caracals are essentially a curl, which is but is a recaller of a curl. Now the downside to this is we already have two curls in the game. You have the regular curls and you have the black. The Dark Knight curl, which is black. So it just would be like another recolor of the same kind of mount we already got. So I'm not sure that would be a thing, but hey, anything to keep me in the zone I'm happy with, and I think they could totally make something happen with this group of NPCs and make this area questable in again. So yeah, but these are very unlikely. Now, the unlikeliest of all unlikelies is my personal favorite, and I would love for this to happen, but it is extremely unlikely, like almost 100% not gonna happen, but it would be awesome. And it's the Amorotians. It's hard to remember like how to pronounce that word. Amorotians. the people that lives in Amarat. So Amarat is obviously a super cool zone. I love this area. I love the music in this area. And the area is freaking massive. And there are these people, essentially these guys. Now, I still believe it could be possible because the map is so huge that it's entirely possible that they sent us back into those locations to do quests and stuff. But they're not very, like, they're not a typical beast tribe. They're not like trade oriented, they're not combat oriented, they're not really crafting oriented either, so they kind of don't fit into any of these categories. Also, they don't have like an enemy group of any kind, and they also don't have like possible minions or even mounts. So it's very, very, very unlikely, but I would love for something to happen with them to make us quest more in this area. And also the other thing is they barely have any mobs in this area. The most of this place is freaking empty, with the exception of very, very few mobs located in this tiny section here, and they're all the same. They're all named Cubus, and they're literally all the same mob, just plastered all over. So, like I said, it's very incredibly unlikely that this is going to be anything, but I would love for us to reuse this location. Look at how pretty this is. Like, it's a shame if we don't go here more often and do things in here more often. Although, you know, nothing is impossible. If we do get the Ando, it's not impossible that we get in there to do some stuff as well. They might be like, oh, go talk to these guys and then go back and do some other stuff. It's entirely possible. But yeah. That's my guess. So yeah, this is my list of potential beast tribes. Do post in the comments below what you think are going to be the one. Like I said, the most obvious one, most likely we're gonna get is Nomu, Pixie, and dwarves. Now, Nomu and Pixie, the other thing that I didn't mention is they're both in the same area, so it would be very unlikely that both of them are, but who knows? Maybe they'll do something with that. And then the a little bit less possible or less likely are the Blessed, the Mords, and the Ondos, which I explained before. And then the most unlikeliest of ones are the V's, the Miners, and even more unlikely than that is the Amaratians. So, but yeah, so that's my thoughts. Please subscribe to the channel. It really, really helps. And drop me a follow on Twitch, twitch.tv/ShinoSeven. I stream mostly JRPGs. And if I'm not streaming mostly JRPGs, I'm streaming Final Fantasy 14 content. I am streaming mostly every night at 6 p.m. EDT. And yeah, love your faces. Stay safe, stay awesome, and talk to you later. Bye-bye, guys.